Cool. So this is an interview with Stephen Whiting and Andy Kingston, is that right?
Yes.
Fantastic. Got everything right. And it's for the Accidental Archivist project, which is supported by the National Lottery Heritage Fund. So,
God bless.
Andy and Stephen, God bless. So, we just swap around. I mean, were you both born in Luton, or?
Yes.
You
You
both?
were, weren't you?
Well, if Lee Nelson's asking, he wouldn't say that we were. Caddington,
Yes. Counts as Luton, didn't
born in Caddington.
Well, I was born in the L&D, so...
Ah, well, you were definitely Luton.
Yeah.
definitely,
Within the sounds of the town hall clock, maybe.
Within the sounds of the motorway.
Make you
Yeah.
Lutonian.
Yeah.
Sort of,
Yeah, born in Caddington, but family in Hightown for decades before.
so you both went to school in Luton as well. Did you go to school together at all? Or?
Yeah, we did. We had that funny catchment because Caddington, I was brought up in Slip End, and the funny catch, we could see, was it Rotherham School?
Yeah.
The one on Farley Hill.
Oh yeah, Rotherham, yeah, I remember that.
We could see that when we were waiting for the bus, but we were driven into Dunstable, so we went to school in Dunstable.
We went to Manshead. That's
Oh,
where we
Mansfield,
met.
yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
That's where we met. I imagine things were quite different in Dunstable to Luton in those days. I think Dunstable had a different sort of makeup and, you know.
It had a good reputation, Manshead, before we went.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Was that after the train line went? Because there used to be a train line, didn't there? Branch line.
Yeah. Yeah, that shut in the 60s, didn't it?
Oh, did it? Yeah.
For passengers.
Yeah.
There were still cement trains, because I went to Ashton Middle School, which is right behind the railway, so we had the high street, then our school, and then the train lines. We used to see trains occasionally, but it was all goods trains and cement trains. But
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
where the busway is now, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
the old
Yeah.
rail line.
yeah.
And first jobs and all that sort of stuff after school? Or?
Yeah, well, my brother was at the council, and he fixed me up with a summer job on the bins
Right.
and road sweeping and toilet cleaning, which was an eye opener. And now I'm back there now as a lollipop man. So my career has been bookended by Luton Council,
Fantastic.
and yeah, very much enjoyed it.
But then, somewhere along the line, you both got involved in arts and...
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
it. It's weird because you don't really know. We didn't do. I didn't do art at school. Did you?
No,
You did
not at all.
English though, didn't
I
you?
did English. Yeah, but I the stuff I did at school, I was quite good at maths.
Yeah,
And
I was
I-
quite good at maths, and then they stick you with it, don't they?
Yeah, so almost doing the sort of stuff that, I felt doing that stuff was almost as a reaction. The English was quite good at school, to be honest, to be fair. We read some good books. But I had no art, no sort of capacity for that whatsoever. I was a terrible visual kind of artist and fine artist, just hopeless.
You did a good drawing of Nixon a few years ago. Didn't you?
Yes, I've done.
Which was
Roy Hattersley, I did quite a good picture of him as well. But that
it's
was
raw.
I think it was accidental more than anything.
That's the way you sort of drift into it, isn't it?
But I don't know why. I don't know how I came to be doing music, because that was strange, because I had no aptitude for that either.
No, I didn't do that at school or anything. No.
No, it's really hard, wasn't it, in the old days? I remember we had a choice between art or language, really. You know, like learning a language. You couldn't do both.
Well, our school was very hot and keen on science,
Right.
which at the time I don't think they taught very well. But
It's odd, isn't it?
It's very
It
odd.
really does affect your path, possibly in a good way by not doing something.
It's amazing, Luton, isn't it? Because it's thrown up there's such a good, amazing creative community, and it all seems to come from very strange places.
Homegrown.
Yeah.
A bit like straw plaiting, which was done at home, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In people's houses or on street corners and stuff. So it's interesting that it's followed that path, because
Yeah.
all of the big projects in Luton have often been independent things like the Bear Club.
For sure.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
They were doing it for themselves, that DIY kind of spirit and ethic.
there's a curiosity, isn't there, if you haven't been engrossed into academic subjects.
Yeah, a lot of free spirit, isn't there, floating around the town?
I mean, the library was always
Yeah.
good, wasn't it? We always used to go into town with Mum and Dad on shopping on Saturday or my nan. And I went to the library once, because I thought, I wonder what this is all about. And I found the art section and sat and read a book about Dada for about 3 hours. Read the whole thing.
Was this your age, about 6 or whatever at the time?
Yeah. No, it was just early teens, I guess, or 12 or 13. Yeah. And then we got the lift back with Dad at the end, and it hadn't been a shopping trip. It was just, from then on, I thought, there's something here, But I never studied art, which is quite good, really. Not until later.
Right. Yeah, you did that later, yeah.
Did a degree at Cheltenham, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's that sort of, you learn stuff and then
Then you unlearn it.
Well, you leave it. So as I say, I was quite good at maths. I studied economics. God knows why. So that actually, it's almost by default doing something creative wasn't maths or economics.
Yes.
It's just very strange.
I mean, people would say maths can be creative,
Oh,
can't they?
for
Because
sure, yeah.
They link
Absolutely.
it up with art as well, don't they?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, especially with music, with classical music and stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
So in a way, that if you were studying maths, then you were already on the way to being a fine drummer
Well,
and writer.
If only I could
So
have
what came
got-
first for you, with the music or the writing and...
It's close. It was a close thing, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's probably the music, possibly by a hair's breadth.
For about 4 weeks, yeah. Because as soon as we started the Thrilled Skinny Band, we were thinking of everyone was doing fanzines either about themselves or about the music scene in general. And we started to do one within about 2 or 3 months. We had the first issue out.
And that first issue, the first thing you did was Clod. Was it the first Clod magazine?
Clod one,
Yeah.
And there was only 4 copies of it, so
Wow.
I should have brought it around tonight, but it will be available in some form.
Yeah.
And it was just for each of us to keep, and then
So what year was that?
That would have been
spring
7.
'87, yeah.
Wow.
And it was all photocopied on Works photocopiers, of course.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Stolen things. Yeah.
As everything was.
Reappropriated things, reclaimed things. Yeah.
So was that the first sort of time you got into 33 at that time as well? Or was that?
Yeah, we had other places. So we started off at Simon, our bass player's house, and then we quickly got too loud for that, and ornaments were coming off the shelf and all that sort of thing. And I'm sure, I can't remember his parents being there, but I'm sure they weren't necessarily at all.
The neighbours
used to.
I think the neighbours complained after they got back from their caravanning holidays. A lot of noise at your house again. So we had to find rehearsal rooms like Canyon Music in Midland Road.
Yes, remember that.
Which
We
had a
did-
recording studio.
One there, did we? Or am I misremembering that?
We did some rehearsals and some recording.
Did we?
And then we paid up for another rehearsal, gave him 10 quid,
yeah,
which he
yeah.
still owes us.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Paul.
Paul Gittins.
Oh yes, yeah.
And then the building fell down between us booking the second rehearsal, I think. So we had to look elsewhere. And then I'd already drifted into the 33 as probably about 14-year-old, just wondering. I was sort of drawn there,
Yeah.
You think must be something interesting. Picking up lots of leaflets in your foyer there. You had a little table and stuff, and then just sort of disappearing again. So I knew of it, and
I think that's how most people came in, by accident or with a mate or something. But I think the difference between that place and what you have nowadays is that kind of information that was the social part of it all.
Yeah,
That's right.
maybe.
It was a friendly looking
Yeah.
place, and there was stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
There was an exhibition on, and the artist, she was there on her own that day, talking about, you know, what have you come here for? This is what I'm doing, and then you'd walk out with loads of flyers, and then I went to see a band about. There was a fella playing a sitar.
Oh wow.
Thought, oh, this is. I was getting into the Doors, you know. I thought I was a bit psychedelic.
Yeah.
And I thought, well, sitar night.
That's
and that
got to be.
went along there.
Yeah.
It was great, you know. He played one tune, and then he got everyone else up on stage. Who wants to have a go?
Yeah.
I just wanted to hear him play more, but
Yeah, there was a wonderful woman back in that day called Mrs. Biswas. She passed away, but she used to run Indian music classes. So there used to be a guy who used to teach tabla, and so no one thought about all of these cross-cultural things. You just got on with it, you know.
that's true. It was probably just done without any sort of overthinking of it.
Yeah, no thinking about it. And you didn't have to.
Mm.
You didn't have to aim products at certain communities. You know, everything was by accident.
It was very open
Yeah.
space, wasn't
Yeah.
it? And that's exactly what attracted us back to then rehearse and
Yeah.
then do our first gigs with you as well.
Yeah.
So you were hiring a room out for 10 quid
Right. Was that for the gigs or for the
for the
rehearsal?
whole night. You know,
For the
Oh,
gigs.
yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So the gigs we did downstairs in the back room,
That's right.
and then we were up in the funny rooms at the top.
yeah, where Ray used to live, who used to collect the money for the rehearsals.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Well, Caroline did as well. Caroline Wallace as well was
yeah.
on the scene then, isn't she?
Yeah. She
Remember?
was the admin person.
But it was. I'm not sure whether they. I mean, there must be places like it now. I struggle to find them where
Oh, yeah.
actually you just sort of say, "Well, we want to do a gig.
Yeah.
You're all right. 10 quid. You've got the room."
Do what you want. We'll
It's
lock
brilliant.
up afterwards.
Because we weren't still aren't particularly accomplished or confident or anything like that.
But it was a definite
Yeah.
grounding, wasn't it? And
yeah,
then within,
got you. Yeah.
we started in January '87. Probably started rehearsing at 33 in May, maybe.
Yeah. So we're looking at nearly 40 years, aren't we?
Nearly 40
Yeah,
years. Yeah.
yeah.
Bloody hell.
So-
We're still
37?
together.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I mean, yeah. All apart from our singer Simon, who was involved with Thrill Skinny and Clod as well at
Yeah.
the beginning.
Yeah.
And then he left town in the 90s. But the other four of us who were always there are still on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same.
Crazy. So, and what edition of Clod are you up to now? 30 something?
39. We've done 30.
39,
yeah.
just done.
So we're building up for the big 4-0,
Yeah.
It's sort of nearly 40 years, like you say, 40 editions.
which isn't the plan. We had
Nice
what,
and slow.
10 years off, did we?
We had 8 years off
8
in,
years
in,
off,
the,
sorry.
in the 90s.
Yeah.
The fallow
The fallow years when we were at colleges doing
Yeah.
art, which is strange, or studying the arts. That's when our creativity sort of dipped in terms of Clod. And then we had a resurgence after college.
Yeah, because I mean, you'd have thought that would have been material for you, perhaps the material came
Yeah.
out. Yeah.
Odd, I
Yeah.
probably didn't even consider it as art, and thankfully it probably isn't. And then when we came out of college, we sort of started it, and the difference between the before and college and after college, it doesn't seem to have changed.
No, we slowed
Which
down
we-
slightly. And because we lost a singer, we just didn't have a singer with the music.
Oh, the music, yeah.
But
yeah.
the magazine, yeah, it's pretty much the same, wasn't it?
But I mean, there can't be many magazines that have lasted 40 years, even
No.
if it's only one
No.
a year. You know?
No, not of our sort
Yeah.
of thing. And we I can't even remember how we used to sell it. I mean, we used to be up and down
We used
trains
to-
going home. We sold them at gigs, didn't we?
We sold it at gigs, which was the main distribution, and it was probably the case for a lot of fanzines in the 80s,
Yeah.
because you just went to so many gigs
Yeah.
and you'd sell to people, meet people. They'd take some of yours, you'd take some of theirs, and it's a massive network. Incredible to think of.
I guess more recently it's been sort of press fairs that we got into. But there must have been a little period where we were making the magazine and not playing
Not
gigs
selling
and
it
just
at all.
thinking, oh God.
Yeah, how the hell are we going to sell these?
But then we got into the press, and already well, I can't even remember how long ago that was. It's quite a while, wasn't it?
Yeah, I suppose the late 90s and early 2000s, we
So
weren't doing press fairs,
No.
we weren't doing gigs.
So what, 2005 for press fairs, something like that.
Yeah, we're doing that about 20 years now.
But it was really lovely because Jimmy, we did. I don't know how we got into his first press fair, but this guy Jimmy, who was doing other
Jimmy
fairs,
Gherkin.
Jimmy Gherkin, yeah.
Is that a real name?
No, not his real name.
No.
Dimitri is
Oh,
real.
Dimitri, yes.
He's
real
a
name.
fabulous guy, and
Dimitri Gherkin.
he came up and said, "Oh, you need to do our one as well." So because he knew about Clod Magazine, didn't he? And it was we were already sort of a bit seasoned, a bit crusty.
We used to do good fairs at the Aloysius Hall in Euston.
Yeah. There was Jimmy and what's his name? Can't remember the other guy. Peter.
There was no. I mean, I think what people find fascinating about Clod, not being involved with it, it's not overtly political. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of has political comments sometimes, but has a surreal basis to it that makes it endlessly appealing, I guess. So.
I think that it is like we sort of hide behind lots of pseudonyms and we can write accordingly to each sort of pseudonym's sort of character,
Yeah.
So you've got the sort of particularly bolshy ones or the particularly arty ones, or so we've created this fictional magazine. Has it been done? Is there such a thing as a fictional magazine?
It must be, yeah.
So we can hide behind all sorts of things. You hide behind the letters page, the magazine reviews, and we can say lots of things and attribute it to various.
I think our humour is quite sarcastic as well. So it never. I'm sorry, I don't want to speak for all of us.
Well, no.
Well, there's only two of you there, but
That's true. That's true. The others might take umbrage, but because we don't really get too angry in the magazine, I think it has a bit more. If you've got something that's full on or really, really insipid, people probably won't go back to it. But if it's like, oh, these guys are quite amusing, or oh yeah, they're saying something that's vaguely interesting, I'll keep reading. Do you know what I mean? It's not like out there. There's no. Well, you put slogans.
It's not
in,
a
but
noisy
only
magazine.
sarcastic. No, exactly.
I think quietness and a very underhand approach to insults.
subversive, really.
Yeah, it is, which satire should be really.
Yeah,
it should
sure.
be. It should be almost the same thing as what it's criticising,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much, I guess, what we are. We're almost the same thing, but twisting it so that it becomes, daft and.
Do you think of it as uniquely Luton at all?
I mean, we're always name dropping Luton in it. I don't know how anyone in Melbourne or New York,
Relates to
Amsterdam,
Yeah.
where we're privileged to sell it,
Yeah.
or certainly stock it anyway. We don't necessarily sell it there, but
Yeah, I think so. Because there's a chap just started a magazine in Swindon. I sort of think Luton and Swindon quite sort of similar, really.
Yeah.
So I'm very interested. I'm going to write him some questions to answer. He's got to answer for this, damn it. And but his thing isn't particularly about Swindon, but he does a gig guide, which is sort of a bit strange because it's not about Swindon, but there's a Swindon gig guide. But when you read this gig guide, you think, oh yeah, it sounds so familiar. Like they were gonna do this gig, but such and such happened, and so I think we reference and he references Swindon. You see all these places in Swindon. Thank God you write about all these characters in Luton. The Luton.
yeah, we do a Luton
character
who's
page.
who of,
Yeah.
of fictitious characters.
If you go to all these arts council meetings, they're endlessly putting Swindon and Luton together, aren't they?
Are they?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Always saying, same kind of similar
Yeah.
demographic. And
I suppose it's
all of
similar with a
those
lot of
stuff.
towns, and that's reassuring that almost every town is the same
Yeah.
in some respects.
Well, I think you don't need to know Luton to sort of get the sort of okay, I think I know what they're talking about, this sort of small town but kind of chip on the shoulder but plucky, and thank God we're not Harpenden or St Albans, and
Yeah.
that kind of attitude,
It's
I
nice,
guess.
It's nice to name drop other towns nearby in a derogatory way.
We haven't mentioned Watford, though.
No, keep it polite. And
Yeah, there was a fellow at press fair came along, wasn't he? I think. Was he George? I think he's a Greek fellow. Anyway, he said, "Is Luton really like this? I would love to come and see." You know, I said, "Well, I'll happily meet you at the station." You know, but
yeah, he was very keen, wasn't he?
I'm sure we could do a tour which would sort of echo an edition of Clod. In fact, it's probably even more surreal than anything could possibly have written. I was on Ashcroft Road the other day, and the things that go past, you know, things that happen every day there, you could never make any of them up. The things that you see and hear. Yeah.
It is brilliant because if you film
Silver trousers.
Put it in a film or something, people go, "That's just
Yeah, they're making
too
it up.
wacky."
Truth is stranger than fiction, isn't it?
Yeah.
A car drove past with shitbox painted on the side.
Yeah.
I thought, yeah, that's good.
Was that when you were on your legal duties each day with the
On my
school crossing?
lollipop duties, yeah. I was paying attention to other things as well,
For sure.
not just
The
looking at
kids.
silver trousers. It's an amazing place, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Fertile, isn't it?
And you write these things down and you think later, "Oh, that didn't happen. How can I write that up?" I'm working on something. I saw, I think she'd just come out of a church, one of these evangelical churches in Hightown.
Right.
She's really glamorous, really, you know, she had big heels on, one of these tight kind of dresses, ruche, really colourful. She had a bloody couple of ferrets. And she wasn't,
What, live ferret?
yeah,
Oh, real one, real ferrets.
Yeah.
In Hightown.
Coming out of church?
yeah, it's just, and I just was looking and thinking, what the hell, what is going on?
You don't-
Only in Luton.
You don't
Yeah,
have to
yeah.
be a fantasist, do you? You, can,
No,
you just
no.
have to be really real.
And that's just down the road from that. There's a guy, you know, the shop on the corner of Cobden Street and Hightown Road.
Yeah.
Used to get our beers there before Greenbank.
Yeah.
The last shop there, the guy's often got his parrot out just on the
On the car, yeah.
Yeah, on the car, yeah.
Yeah, he puts it on the top of the car, don't he?
I think that's
Yeah.
it's really nice,
Yeah.
but also pretty mad.
It's like a Tom Waits album, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, very much so.
Luton is, there used to be a parrot in the castle as well, wasn't there? In a
Did
cage.
I can't remember that. Yeah.
Oh God, there was, yeah.
Didn't.
Yeah.
I think it struggled with the cigarette smoke. It didn't last too long.
I don't know, well, you know, that stuff doesn't happen every day.
But referencing
Well, like-
Luton is certainly.
Yeah,
But you know you've done it by creating the Luton haiku, which is like a
yeah.
Clod book.
Yeah, you should talk about that a bit because that's.
Yeah.
Someone brought that up the other day. Funny enough, Caroline Wallace brought that up
Right.
at a meeting. Was that?
I don't know. I mean, that's another thing that I think we get together occasionally. Well, get together quite a lot, but occasionally we have these ideas, and I think for a lot of people, most of the time, and for us, a lot of the time, the ideas just stop. But we enact some of them, don't we? And
Yeah, if you can remember the things you've been talking about in the pub the night before, then you could be onto a winner if you make a note of it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you've lost it.
Do you do that? Do you go out your way to take notes about certain things? Or?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
Keep notebooks.
I haven't got my notebook with me, but usually I do have. And we, well, you don't do it, but we blog about the pubs, and we just writing sort of all the time. It's not high literature or anything like that, but yeah, the haikus is one of them things, and I think between us we decided, right, we'll do one every day. Well, we'll do one every weekday. It'll be about Luton, and we'll just do the 575 rule. We won't go into spiritual stuff because we're not particularly spiritual, and it's just. And that was years ago. So we were in the Guinness Book of Records for the highest number of haikus about a place.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And the idea
great.
is to keep that going, to still keep it going.
Yeah, we still do it. I'll post one when we get home tonight. My brother writes most of them, the vast majority of them. And it's quite funny, you know, if we're getting low, I'll say, Tim, have you got any? He said, no, I haven't been to any meetings this week. So he just sits there in meetings just thinking, right, there goes another one. So yeah, we sort of thrive off that as well a little bit. The sort of
Yeah, I mean, you've had 5 volumes of book out of that.
yeah,
But now it's just a website.
no, it's
isn't
just
it
a website. Yeah,
But,
yeah.
How do you feel about that? Because it was interesting doing this
Mm.
project. Is that the initial idea for the project was to have a book,
All right.
but then the heritage lottery people didn't like the idea of the book being wanted, which is kind of strange because everyone I know from my generation, the book has always been the way to go. Even
The
though-
highest point would be a book at the end of it, wouldn't it?
Yeah, kind of.
And what's the end point
I think
for this? Is
it's
it a
that,
website or
that whole idea of how you get what heritage is about
yeah,
to a wider
yeah.
part of the population. I'm not sure about that. you
If
know.
people aren't reading books or picking them up or using them, okay. I mean, those things you showed us earlier,
Yeah.
the tactile, turny thing, you know, I think that will always appeal. But does it appeal to younger people now, or is it just a swiping thing, you know? But I just fear with that's not a permanent thing. Because
No.
you'll lose your server or whatever
Yeah, I
happens.
don't think there's anything permanent
I've
about
done a couple of-
digital things.
The reason I haven't really spoken about this on camera, but the reason that the project's called The Accidental Archivist is that back in the day, no one thought about documenting their work. You know, and it's interesting now occasionally going into a school and talking about the project, and younger people always think that they've got Facebook and they've got Instagram,
Yeah.
and they don't realise that that's fragile.
Yeah.
It can disappear. Like
Yeah.
we saw last week, you know, when
Yeah.
Yes.
everything went down. From,
Yeah.
I think that's interesting point about like storytelling being an early form of conveying information, and that developed into books, didn't it?
We had we played a gig with our band 6 weeks ago, I think, and we hadn't played for years, and we were going to do some songs from one of our albums. It was only on CD, and it was we made them at home. I only did them on CDRs. And I had a few. I thought, right, here we go. To our bass player, who wasn't in the band at that time, said, "There you go." It didn't work.
Of course.
We don't have. I don't have. I've still not found it.
No one's written it all down on paper.
Well, it just doesn't
either.
exist. I can't.
Notes or
No. Well,
I know it's that's how fragile that is.
Yeah, everything is fragile, you know.
I think interesting with the archive, but we never collected it with a massive intention of it having any importance. In fact, when we used to do early clods, we'd have a paper template, and when it came back from the printer, it would like literally go in the bin. I mean, all of that gluing and sticking and cutting
Yeah.
threw it out, because now we've got the magazine that it was for. And that happened for the first 12 editions. We threw away all the original pages. And then
now
I just
wish you would have kept it.
yeah, I mean, it was like a big collage, really, and that's what it still is. We still do it with collaged things.
Yeah, we've got the same with all the work Hugh Byrne did for us in the early days, and that was before Photoshop. It was all photographs cut up and then re-photographed and then cut up again.
Beautiful
So we have the
thing.
finished thing, but we don't have the work in process, if you know what I mean.
But then there is that thing, I mean, the way that legacy's talked about these days, you know, it's legacy building, and that was the last thing you were interested in, wasn't it? You're just doing what you're wanting to do, and this afterlife, being remembered in the afterlife or something.
but we did keep hold of all this stuff.
We kept it for some reason.
Yeah.
It was accidentally, like you say, accidentally kept.
Yeah.
It was usually on purpose thrown away.
For sure.
I think for us it's like for me it's like reassuring. So when I see these TV programs about your perfect home or go and sell your property programs, and they say, oh yeah, all these books clutter, I think,
Yeah. Well, that's an attitude that is definitely on those sort of shows, isn't it?
yeah,
For sure.
If you've got a little council house, it's full of books, you've got a problem, you know.
Yeah.
If you've got a nice stately home with full of
Yeah.
books, then you can charge people to come and look at your library.
It's very
It's all
true.
right, it's all
Yeah.
Nonsense.
nonsense. That's the word.
That's
Yeah.
the word you're searching for.
And I hope people these days aren't considering legacy, because you get it from a lot of politicians. They say, "So what's your legacy going to be?" You know, it's like it's not for you to decide. It's
No,
not.
no, I think it means different things to different people, you know. And yeah, preserving history is it's a weird one, I think.
Yeah.
Very difficult.
Yeah.
But it's been an interesting project because you talk about people who grew up in the same town as you, and albeit they've been mostly creative people I've spoken to, but they all have a different view about what that means.
But it's really good that the 33 is being marked like this,
Yeah.
because as I said before we were on the camera, it seemed to have something which I don't think is in town anymore. So if you build up an archive about it, at least you can show people, and people might say, not for us, but you know, it
I
might
think
influence.
You're approaching it from the right angle as well. It's been lived,
Yeah.
and now you're trying to pick out the bits
Yeah, I think there is a
from what's
subversive
left.
element about it. Is because I'm really concerned about we all are about arts aren't being taught in the schools.
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
And then what we think of as arts projects are actually being funded in a kind of a top-down way. So the organisation absorbs the money and it doesn't find its way to creative people.
Yeah.
Where back in the day, purely because that's the way things used to work then, things came from the bottom up. So you'd buy resources for people to use, and that was and then make them free. Free from cost at source, and then creative people could use those things and then meet each other in the social elements.
Yeah.
And they don't exist now like that.
Yeah, the structures become.
Structures become.
Yeah.
It comes from somewhere else. Doesn't
Yeah.
It?
So we become part of the box ticking exercise of government, in the sense that.
I think that because we haven't done it like that, that's benefited us, because having one issue out a year is not most people's idea of success.
No.
But for us, it allows the quality to be good enough, or when we're pleased with it. If we had stumbled upon some deal where someone had said, right, you've got to do one of these every 3 weeks or something, well, that would have been the end of it. Because we'd have started to get other people involved, because we'd be running out of ideas, and then it would have gone the way that things like the Chap have gone. Where there's like brochures for tailors in Savile Row, and it's still got an element of interest about things like that.
Yeah.
But the pressure to come up with it, we've never had that, thankfully, because we've all worked other jobs.
Yeah. So you've never had to go down the advertising rate
We've never had to
to-
worry
to-
about.
No,
to sell adverts.
the only
and all that
advertising
stuff.
we carry is stuff we make up. That's
Of course.
Yeah, if we
either
have
fake or selling our own stuff.
adverts have been for like the Scandinavia Cafe
Oh
in
yes,
Hightown.
yes you do. Yeah.
Because we showed Teresa, who used to run it,
Yeah.
as you know, we put an advert in, and she went, "Oh, I don't think I've got any money for that." I said, "We don't want any money for it. We just think this is worthy of an advert."
Yeah.
It's
Great loss to Hightown, wasn't it? When it
Absolutely. Yeah.
Oh yeah, one of the places to meet and chew the fat.
Yeah.
But you
Literally.
did something really great there, because Teresa was quite happy and bought fully into that sort of, she's hosting a film night. We did a film night there.
Yeah.
That's it, isn't
I think
it?
you were probably there. weren't
Yeah,
you?
I came for that one. Yeah.
And
yeah.
the fairs. And
When it came to a public space, you were like,
Yeah.
there's the art centre at 33. That was
yeah,
crucial.
yeah,
But then if there was a good cafe area, you're thinking about venues that have got walls for exhibitions or film. We did a film launch there at the Scandinavia on a full screen. It's got refreshments, and it's got the chairs and tables for craft fairs, which we also ran.
but Teresa was,
And they benefit, we
Yeah.
benefit, everybody was in a good position in this public sort of space.
I assume she was very into it. I can't imagine she
She
was.
was always very well. Yeah, she was always very keen to help out. Wasn't she?
Yeah.
And we did.
That was superb. It really was.
I still see Hightown as a kind of so much potential, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a sort of tipping point as usual again, isn't it? With
Yeah.
sort of luxury flats being built.
Yeah.
And
They're not luxury, are they? Luxury? Are they?
well,
Might
they
be.
sometimes have luxury on the vinyl banners outside, don't they? The word, but
They got a roof.
a roof. Oh my God, I can only dream of it.
Well,
Back in the day.
It's true, but like public spaces, you can think more creative. I bet you have as well in the past, thinking about parks and
yeah.
like shopping areas. You've taken over shops before in the
Yeah,
60s,
shops.
didn't you?
Yeah, well, late 60s, 69, I think. 71. Shops in Luton.
Lee does that very well as well. Lee Utter.
Yes.
He has done, and now he's landed nicely at the Hat Factory.
Yeah.
But he was downstairs in some pokey, horrible. It's not pokey or horrible. It was pokey. It wasn't horrible, but probably wasn't.
It was
Safe.
like pizza houses.
The one in Hightown.
Yeah.
Oh, that was.
In
Well, he's there, and he's at the Marjorie's place
Yeah.
for a little while.
So then he was earlier. He was up the road, wasn't he? Where you had to go into that.
Yeah,
Cellar
that was I
space.
think the second place. We started at Marjorie's and then was there, but he's got that same sort of. Let's take it to the people. Sounds too highfalutin and nonsense, but and he had the same sort of buying from people, didn't he? You know, Michael and people at that restaurant.
Support. It's another independent sort of activity, isn't it, in the town?
I think there's that kind of thing that goes through everyone's vein is that you actually genuinely believe that everyone's got a creative bit of themselves,
This is it, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're proof of that because we were not educated in the arts, particularly.
No.
And that's that we've touched on that being a benefit rather than something that would hold you back. Anyone can. I mean, not to say that everyone's an artist. I don't know. I don't want to get into that sort of that.
That's a difficult one, but I think we've had the success of people coming into 33 who came in to do a drama course and then left and became a world famous filmmaker or something like that. Do you know what I mean? So it's creating those spaces where people's potential can.
Yeah, because you don't know what that potential or what direction when on the first day you walk in there, do you? And you were given like time and space to people to make it up for themselves.
Yeah.
And everything that went on, because I to be honest, I didn't go to 33 an awful lot beyond the rehearsing we did, but you knew you were in a space and that there's stuff going on. It had a very, like sometimes places now don't. So let me think. Am I going to be mean? Not really. But Greenbank, for example, that was a music place, and he taught music, and you did the rehearsal. Fantastic place. But quite a different vibe, And 33 was the arts centre where you could do stuff yourself. You could just sort of pitch up. That's how it felt, and I imagine that's how it was.
It was a very beautiful place as well, wasn't it? Because that old building had a great front.
Fantastic.
Yeah. It was attractive, hanging baskets and tiles and the flooring.
Yeah.
It was a real.
Yeah, I mean, whatever would have happened
old
to
bit
the
of Luton.
buildings, it's a crime that that's still empty building space. Over nearly 25 years since it closed, it's still an empty building site.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, the history of the frontage of that building was so beautiful, and then it was demolished in such a way that even though they said, must keep the facade, they demolished it in such a way that the facade was then unsafe. So it had to come down.
So it had to come down.
Yeah.
So
that was
they never intended to.
Luton's dirty politics, I think.
all these car park sites, like the pubs, like the Old English Gentleman.
For sure.
Nothing was really put on it.
Yeah.
But
And, you know, places like the Ploughing, Market Hill, do you remember
yeah.
that? And
Yeah,
beautiful tiling and
Yeah.
stuff. And,
there's a lot of
yeah.
places like that.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, is that the one that's now in Wardown?
The bar is, isn't it?
Bar is, yeah, I think. Yeah.
With that green tiling.
No, that was in the market, wasn't it? Has it been moved from the market? I think originally it was put in the market.
I thought it was in Debenhams.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the fact that it's in a department, you know, a private department store that no longer exists, and it's probably Mike Ashley's garage now or something. It's just like,
garage.
what have you done? That yeah, and it's. I know exactly the green.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Yeah.
Absolutely, and it is sort of not grand and sparkly and everything like that, but it's very sort of
Very simple fare,
Yeah.
like the town's big tourist attraction, the Wenlock Jug.
yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that is so simple, isn't it?
Yeah.
A jug.
Yeah.
Is that what we're famous for as a town? It's the most expensive thing in the town.
Yeah.
It's
And
quite
jug.
tacky.
The
It
jug.
looks like
And it's great, isn't it?
yeah. Yeah.
Crazy.
That sort of epitomises Luton, doesn't it? You can invest a lot of magic into something that's overlooked or unseen. Or that's sort of a Clod inspiration, isn't it? To create a Wenlock Jug that no one knows about.
Well, perhaps when you do your 40th anniversary,
When all the lights come on and the
we should
fanfare.
do a little cardboard cutout of the jug and give it away.
That's a good idea.
Clod Jug.
Yeah.
You could do a matching one, so it's a pair, one at either end of the mantelpiece.
Yeah. Where you can keep all your collected copies of.
In between.
Yeah. To
Lovely.
Bookended.
bookended.
That'd be nice.
Lovely.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah,
anyway,
I think
thanks both for
that's a pleasure.
having a chat and all
Thank
that.
you. Thank you.
And,
Hope we add to the archive and
Yeah, you will, and you know, through kind of, you know, that we won't even bother showing you this; it will go up online, and they're done with it. So,
No editing,
Done.
a few bleeps.
who bleeps? No, you don't have to do that.
I don't think we swore. You nearly swore.
I know.
You do. Well, you correct
swore.
yourself, obviously.
Corrected you. Yeah. Good self.
Anyway, so we're all around to celebrate the 40th edition of Clod. And
Yeah, and it's going to be this compilation of the first 19 Clods, which is about 600 pages.
Wow.
It's going to be a full colour A4 publication.
Wow.
And you say that there's very little there that's kind of. It
Only,
was different times, you know.
only a little bit of redaction will be required, I think.
That's quite something.
We do that with Chipex, I think.
I might have to.
On each of the printed copies.
Yeah, if we miss them,
Yeah.
there's a few
Goes-
things
goes
that'll have to go out. But they're not particularly bad, it's just reviews of gigs or something.
Oh,
We
yeah.
stopped reviewing music because we knew that dated it. So we sort of pushed music out of our... We did a few reviews at the beginning.
A lot of fanzines as well. They were great, but they were a little bit, fan
Yeah, they were fan, as
Bit
in
sort of-
music fans.
gushy, and nothing wrong with any of that. It was a good form of expression, but it would date something.
Yeah, you had to sell them quick.
Yeah.
I mean, we probably knew we would never sell anything quickly. So we thought, well, you can still read Clod A, and it's
Still
still irrelevant.
contemporary. Now.
Yeah.
As contemporary as it ever
You think,
was.
what the hell's this?
Yeah. Timeless. Nonsense can be timeless.
It's probably best. Yeah. Cool. Don't tie yourself down. But that blackbird.
Been going ever since.
Warning.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it'd be
Something.
well caught on tape, so
It must have a neck.
Will that come over on the sound?
probably. Yeah. It'd be nice. It'd be like we recorded it in. Yeah.
In a threatening way to blackbirds.